All right, today on the show, our guest is Jen Dillard from the Jen Dillard Real Estate Team with the Hassan Company in Hood River, Oregon, and the Columbia River Gorge area, the Pacific Northwest, right? Let me tell you more about Jen. Now, Jen Dillard is a real estate mogul based in Hood River, Oregon, with over 200 million in lifetime sales. She leads a team of 14 agents that sold over $78 million in real estate last year. She runs an in-house home staging company and is a busy mom of two. I always heard if you want to get something done, give it to a busy mom. Jen Dillard is the perfect example. But she's also, besides that, selling and staging are just part of Jen's story. She's also committed to sharing what she knows about building a successful team in real estate or any entrepreneurial environment with others, especially female leaders and fellow moms. Please check out Jen's website, which is JDRE, so Jen Dillard Real Estate, so JDREteam.com. Please also follow their team on Instagram, which is JDRE Team, and also follow Jen herself on Instagram, which is Jen Dillard. We are going to have all of those links in our show notes, so you can just head to the show notes, follow Jen there. Jen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, DJ. I'm so happy to be here.
Jen is so sweet. We had a plumbing issue at the office where the water was shut off, so everyone left. And then I raced over here to do the interview. I was at home this morning, and then Jen and I were just about to start, and the power went out. So I'm hopeful that we will get through this without any additional interruptions. But Jen has been very patient, and we appreciate that.
I get it.
So it's always funny to see sometimes last minute things, how it gets a little screwy. Just like every real estate transaction, there's always a bump in the road too, I guess.
Exactly.
So this mirrors a lot of our listeners, average day. But anyway, Jen, I would love to really introduce our audience to you, and I'd love to hear about your journey into real estate. Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. So I got started in real estate when I was 21 years old, so like 2 years ago. No, just kidding. I'm 37, so you do the math. But got started in real estate at 21 and got started as a property manager in real estate. And then after that, sold condo conversions in Seattle and worked in the real estate market until the 2008 housing crash, we all remember so fondly. And so once that happened, I dabbled in real estate, but I kind of shifted my focus a bit. And then fast forward a few years, and I had my two beautiful children. And when my daughter, who's my second child, when she was about 6 months old, I said to my husband, I really want to get back to work. I want to do something that fills my bucket and gets me excited and passionate again. And he's like, well, what was that? When was the last time you felt that passion and drive? And I said, real estate. I just missed it so much. And so I went back full force. That's when I really took off. I got back into real estate. I joined an independent brokerage in the Seattle area. And then fast forward a few years from that, I moved to Hood River and started my team. And here I am. So
for any of our audience I wasn't familiar with Hood River, but Oregon is such an amazing state. It's one of our most beautiful states, I think. And I come from Illinois, and we don't have too much beauty here in Illinois, but the topography of Oregon is just incredible. But can you tell us a little bit about where Hood River is located for any of our audience that isn't familiar?
Yes. So Hood River is located about 45 minutes to an hour east of Portland, Oregon, and about 2 hours from Bend, Oregon. So we are separated by the Columbia River. So the other side of the river is Washington, and we live on the Oregon side, but we service both Oregon and Washington. So most of our realtors on our team are duly licensed in Oregon and Washington.
And so just out of curiosity, do you have to join two different associations then as well, whatever the Washington one is and the Oregon, or are they similar?
No, you do have to take the Oregon exam and the Washington exam, but it is a reciprocal state. They're reciprocal states. So But no, same association.
Oh, that's incredible, because here
Yeah.
where we are, the moment you join another state, at least the ones that border Illinois, you got to join a whole nother association as well. So one of the other million reasons to maybe move to Hood River, because oh my goodness, what a beautiful part of the country. For anyone that hasn't been to Oregon, just go. But anyway, we're not here to talk about
special.
Oregon as much as I would love to. But I would love, so Jen in particular, aside from being a top producer and a total superstar, she has this incredible team, and mostly female, right? The vast majority of your team members are women, which makes sense because most more realtors are women than men, of course, in our industry anyway. But you are very passionate about team building. And I think 2022, if nothing else, is at least the year of the team. It seems to have been brewing for some time. And now all our listeners keep asking me about is, let's talk about teams. So I'm so grateful to have you on. So let's talk about that. How do you think about teams? Because you run a really successful team. How do you think about it? Because you've seen there's so many different ways to structure a team. And of course, we just want to give a lot of great advice to our listeners who are thinking of either starting one or joining one.
Yeah, so I think that starting a team is a good time to know when to start a team, is just really knowing when you're feeling pushed. Like if you are not able to service your clients and you are feeling bogged down by, you have too many buyers, too many sellers, you can't really give everybody that great quality of service, maybe it's time to add a team member. And so that way you can still provide that great service to more people. Another reason that I grew my team is that I can't be everywhere at once. Surprise, surprise. So there are clients, the Columbia Gorge area is a pretty, a good size area. And there are people that, there's areas that are 45 minutes, an hour away that I don't service. So we've started growing our team that way by finding great agents in those areas and having them still be a part of the team, but service all different areas of the Gorge.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think too, what I've noticed that teams have started to do in the last few years, and I'm really curious to get your thoughts on it, is I think a lot of times agents in the past would go to their firm for training, support, coaching, and many firms do provide that. And I respect firms that can do that, but it put a lot of stress on the managing broker, because the managing broker, and I'm not sure if they're called managing brokers in Oregon, but here in Illinois we call them managing brokers.
Yeah.
But
same. Principal broker, managing broker.
Cool. Yeah. So I think they had to wear a lot of hats, right? They had to recruit agents, they had to take care of the existing agents, and of course do all the training and coaching. And I think oftentimes that would just be a lot, and all the compliance stuff too, right? So then I think these teams have provided this other avenue for agents to really get mentored, get coached, get taught by people who are out in the field doing it. Most managing brokers, at least most of the ones I know, they're sitting in offices, busy, taking care of everything. They're not always on the front lines working with clients. So I'm curious to get your thoughts about that.
I think that's so true, DJ. I mean, this market is ever changing. It's always changing. There's always something new and exciting, which is what I love about it. But also something that if you're not in the field and you're not part of the change and seeing things firsthand and have your finger on the pulse, then how are you supposed to train and to educate, the agents that are working for you on what's going on if you're not actually out there and seeing it firsthand? So I think that's very true. I love being an active agent. I think I'm out there, I'm in the trenches with them, and we talk about it often, and we sit and talk about each scenario and what's going on and how can we help each other and collaborate. So
when you Jen, sorry, what happened?
I don't know. It's all right.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Shake it off. Just jump right back in. It's all good.
This is why I need a calming motherly presence. And not that you're motherly, but that you are a mom and you're constantly having to. I did not mean to insult. It is like,
no, I take no offense.
I am a rough guy who gets, and then
my team calls me Mama Jen.
You're like, this is
It's
no big
fine.
deal. It's
It's
fine.
fine.
So
Yeah.
thank you.
Shake it
We
off.
went offline for a brief moment, probably due to the construction that's going on here in the office. So sorry about that. We are back. Jen, I'm so sorry. Please continue.
No worries. I think just what I was saying is that we were talking about how being in the trenches and being a part of
Yeah.
what's going on in the market and having your finger on the pulse is an important part of being a mentor and a team leader.
Yeah, and I think too that teams are really a way to expand the services and that an individual practitioner just isn't able to do all by themselves. And if what the question I was asking when we got disconnected that you probably didn't hear was if you were starting over fresh today, and obviously there's this part of you that's been around for quite some time now, and been successful, would you tell yourself if you were brand new to join a team day one? What would be your advice to the
Yes,
brand newly
100%.
licensed Jen Dillard?
I would say join a team right away, 100%. I think I wish that I hadn't been on a team until I started my own. And I think that for me personally, I'm a team player. I love being around other people. I love feeding off of their energy. I love the camaraderie. We have such an amazing culture on our team, and everybody gets along so well. We love to collaborate. There's no drama. It's just a fun atmosphere, and everybody works really hard. We have all of our agents are full-time agents, and they are all producing agents. And so it makes it really fun and exciting. And how great is it to be able to share your successes and share the excitement of a transaction. And then also when things don't go well and being able to commiserate or vent or have a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
It's so great to have all of that.
Support, right? Like if nothing else, teams, or at least healthy teams, can provide a tremendous amount of support. And right now is a time when a lot of agents are wanting support because we know it's a challenging environment right now. We just had an amazing, well, I hate to say the word amazing because of course COVID was not amazing in any possible way, but the real estate market had a pretty good couple of years during that time. And now we're starting to see the pullback a bit. Rates are going up. Buyers, the amount they can, their purchase power has decreased, and inventory is still pretty low. So this is a time where I think there's a lot of, and we've also been kind of hanging out with ourselves for the last couple of years. We're now slowly starting to reintegrate, to have interpersonal communication. But I think that is it's often understated and probably more important than we realize. I suspect because I saw it in your face when you said it's just fun to be around other people who are all working together. There is something to be said for 1 + 1 = 3, right? Like the sum is greater than the parts. Can you talk a little bit about how that helped get your team through the pandemic and through some of those struggles even today?
Yes. So we have a group chat that it's the JDRE team group chat. And if everybody luckily has an iPhone, so we can name it, because if they had an Android, it would be just
no
kidding,
green bubbles on the JDRE team.
It's fine. Yes. So we have this group chat and we stay in touch and in contact constantly throughout the day, and just, hey, we have a question. I've never had experienced this before. Have you guys ever, what do you do in this situation? Just answering questions, or, hey, I just closed on 123 Banana Street, and everyone's like, yay, high fives, great job. And it's so important to have that and to have that support, whether you're in person or not. And so, yes, we meet in person. We meet once a week. Our office is actually pretty active. We have people in the office a lot of time. I think for a lot of brokerages, people aren't in the office as much as they used to be, but our team likes to hang out at the office. And so we have that, but just having that constant communication through COVID and through those times where we felt isolated, but we still had the support of our team, I think was really, really helpful.
I love that so much. The idea of support, again, it's not, I don't mean to get stuck on a particular topic, but I think for a lot of our listeners, a lot of our listeners are in teams. A lot of them are solo practitioners too. And, we don't really need support when everything's going well, right? When things are going great, it's a party, we're celebrating, we're having a good time. Where we really
Right.
need the most support is when things aren't going well. And I'd say joining a team, or if you don't have the ability to do that or don't want to do that, finding a peer support group where you can
Mhm.
do these kind of things. Hey guys, just got a new lead, or just had a listing presentation, or heading into a buyer consultation. Wish me luck. Those are the kind of things that not everybody wants or needs, but a good percentage of us really. And I wanted to say one more thing. I read this study, and I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. But this is from many, many years ago. There was a study that it really speaks to your group chat, your group text sort of system that you guys have set up,
Mhm.
that even if you witness two people being kind to each other or supportive of one another, even just the act of witnessing that creates almost the same benefit as the person who's receiving the support. So you have
Mhm.
created this hub of constant reinforcement of great job, we're here for you, we're together, we're all in this, we're all a team.
Mhm.
And boy, I just have to imagine that really keeps everyone's spirits up when things are challenging.
It really does. And I think that you can see it in, we're active on social media and video and all of that. And I think seeing even photos or doing videos together, I think you can see and you can feel that we actually, it's genuine. We have fun. We enjoy being around each other. We work hard. All of it is clear. It's easy to see that. And I think that's probably why the team has grown. I haven't recruited once. I haven't called and tried to recruit somebody from another brokerage, not because I don't believe in that, but because I haven't had to. People call me and they say, "Hey, your team looks like so much fun, and like the culture seems so amazing. I'd love to join the team." And I think that's just because we put out that energy that truly is genuine.
And right now, I meant to get back to my point of things are challenging. Things aren't picture perfect
Mhm.
today, right? Low interest or
Right.
high interest or rising interest rate environments. I apologize. Rising interest, still pretty low interest rates, but rising interest rate environments. Buyers are freaked out. Buyers' purchasing power has gone down. Low inventory. Um, how are you guys working through that? What are you guys, and I say guys, of course, I mean men and women. What is your team?
Yes.
What are you doing to keep your team cohesive during some of these struggles?
I think just continuing to meet regularly and to train and talk about what we're going through, talk about scenarios. If this scenario comes up, this is what you do. In this scenario, if this scenario comes up, this is what you do. And also, hey, what are you guys seeing? What are you feeling? How are your open houses last weekend? Tell me about that. Just talking it out and being able to sit in the room with the whole team and everybody just pitches in and talks about what they're going through and what they're seeing out there, and then being able to come up with solutions and go around and everybody pitches in their thoughts. It's powerful.
It is. We have management meetings at our company here, and our management team. We have about 10 people, and we get together. And I'm constantly amazed. I'm on the marketing side of how many great marketing ideas I get from people that aren't marketers, that
Yeah.
are
Oh yeah.
different roles, and they're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I've got an idea," and I'm like, "Well, it's better than what I could come up with," because that really this group think kind of thing is it can be a negative, but it can also be a real positive in just getting
Mhm.
more ideas to people. And in your case, yeah, all these agents are having different experiences. And right
Yeah,
now things are goofy, right? Like I can't right
they
now,
really are.
today, the stock market fell substantially. So I was thinking, I wonder what financial advisors are getting all these probably really urgent phone
Yeah.
calls from investors going, where's my money is going to, and they have to have responses to that. Well, of course, real estate has similar sort of things with interest rates going up,
Yes.
inventory being tough. I have a question for you about if you were looking to join a team and you were a brand new agent. So back to this idea that you just got newly licensed, or maybe you're in your first couple of years as a solo
Sure.
practitioner, and you're like, I think I need to join a team. What would you look for in, because we know that most markets in the country have lots of different options for teams. What
Sure.
might you suggest to yourself to look for in a team?
I would recommend doing your research, making sure that you really dig in and ask for recommendations from people, not other realtors, but people in the area. who have you worked with? Who have you had a great experience with as a realtor? And then furthermore, just really making sure that the culture, go to a team meeting, go to a meeting and make sure that you really like that culture and that you fit in, your personality fits in, you resonate with them. Those are really important things. These are the people that you're going to be surrounded with all the time, every day. So making sure that you really feel comfortable is important. So those are a few of the things that I think are.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like making a list of all the people that you've worked with that you go, oh, I like that person. I like the way they did business. I really thought that they had a lot to offer their client. And maybe I'd like to, start to experience, what they deal with back in the back office. I think that's a great understanding. And I'm curious too. So you're a very successful team lead. And I think a lot of realtors think, boy, I couldn't just pick up the phone and call Jen Dillard. She's way too busy. She's got a million things going on. She's running this massive team. So I'm curious, what steps might somebody take to, if they say, oh, I really want to join Jen's team, obviously they can go to your website and fill out a form, which, by the way, if anyone is around that area in Oregon where Jen and her team work and are looking for a different option or a different team, maybe that might better meet their needs, certainly reach out. Jen and her team would love to speak with you. But, agents come to me all the time. They're like, well, I don't really know how to go up to somebody and say, hey, I'd like to join your team. That really does take a certain amount of courage and vulnerability.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
like
I'm
asking
curious,
someone out on a date.
It is.
Yeah. So I like when people are persistent. I think that persistence and, send me a message on Instagram. That's great. But if you also follow it up with a phone call or an email and two different areas of communication, that's where it really gets my attention. I'm like, okay, this person's serious. This person really is interested. And my door is always open to have a conversation. And I think that if you come in, you have a conversation with us, you feel like it's a good fit, we feel like it's a good fit, then I think that, we are always open to grow as long as it feels like it's a good fit on both sides.
I agree. And I'd love to get your opinion about leads, because this also becomes a big topic. And of course, every team does it differently. Some teams have leads, of course, some don't. And I'm not here to suggest teams should have leads or they shouldn't, but I'm curious. I know sometimes individual realtors will think, well, if I join a team, that's going to be the solution to my marketing problems because they probably have a lot of leads and that's going to be my savior, so to speak. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on leads and the team's sort of role in that.
Yeah, I think that being on a team sometimes means you get leads, which our team does, give leads out to our agents. But I think that being able to prospect and come up with your own, go get your own business, that's what really incentivizes me to give leads. If you're out there and you're killing it and I can see that you're active out in the, in the market, you know what you're talking about, you're doing well, your clients are loving you, then I'm going to keep giving you more leads. I see that you're just sitting there and you're just waiting for a lead to come to you and you're not going out and finding your own business, I'm less interested in giving you more leads because how do I know that you're going to take great care of the client? So
that's such an important thing you just said. And I know it's probably self-evident to you, but I think it's an important point that I want really to resonate with our audience, that what Jen just said is for some of us might be counterintuitive. Like, hey, the busier I am, and meaning not busy as far as having clients, but the more active I am in building my business, the more that attracts more business to me because people like Jen go, hey, the DJ is really on top of things. He's racing around getting business. I want to reward his effort with some leads. And I think that is how most team leaders think about it too. So I don't think this is just a Jen Dillard thing.
No,
I think, but I'm so grateful that you said it because it is absolutely the truth. It's sort of like givers get, right? Like that sort of idea of, putting yourself out there and giving as much as you can actually nets you a lot of stuff too, without that being the main intention. So if you want more
Right.
leads, go impress other people in your company with how much activity you're putting into generating leads. Because and I also think, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to take over the interview, but I also think
That's okay.
sometimes when people are doing, and I'm curious to get your thoughts, when people are doing certain activities to generate leads on their own, and then they bring that to a group or their office, sometimes somebody will be like, you know what, I have a little tweak for you on this. And that might just be the tweak that is needed to make it even more effective. You know, this idea of like, oh, I've done that before, but try this instead of that.
Yeah, I like having the other agents on my team come in and do trainings for the rest of the team. I like them to do the trainings. I have one agent on my team who's amazing at cold calling. He was in sales. That was his background. That's where he got started. And that guy is incredible on the phones. So I love to have the team sit and listen to him and to, and to do a calling challenge and things like that. Like just have him listen. I have another agent on my team that's amazing at reels. She does a great job. So having her come in and do a training on how she does reels. And because we're on a team and we're collaborative, we're not competing with each other, we're collaborating with each other. It's great. Everybody's happy to share.
I love that. And having people with different specialties, even though
Yeah.
they might still be doing all of their own business, but maybe they're really good at, like you said, social, or they're good at open houses or buyer presentations or listing presentations or whatever. And then saying,
Yeah.
hey, let's do some best practice sharing. I absolutely just think that is just the fastest way to get good at something.
Oh,
And I'm about to ask, so I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to take a quick break so you can think about the answer.
okay.
I don't think you'll need any time to think about this, but I would love to hear how important today, so it's now the middle of June, 2022, how important are open houses today for lead generation? So before you answer that, I want to take a quick moment to highlight our sponsor. We love our sponsor, and one of our favorite companies in the entire real estate tech space is Follow Up Boss. Now, I've interviewed hundreds of top realtors in this country for this podcast, and the CRM that is used by more than any of my guests is Follow Up Boss. And let's face it, following up is the key to taking your business to the next level. Follow Up Boss will help you drive more leads in less time and with less effort. Don't take my word for it, though. Robert Slack, who runs the #1 team in the United States, uses Follow Up Boss, and he's built a $1.5 billion business in just 6 years. Follow Up Boss integrates with over 250 different systems, so you can keep your existing tools and lead sources. Also, the best part, they have a 7-day-a-week support, because we know real estate happens nights and weekends. So you'll get the help you need when you need it. And get this, Follow Up Boss is so sure that you're going to continue to use their services. They're going to give you, for a limited time, they're going to give Keeping It Real listeners a 30-day free trial, which is twice the amount of time they give everybody else. And oh yeah, no credit card required. So you can try it risk-free, but only if you visit the special link. But visit followupboss.com/real. Again, followupboss.com/real for your free 30-day trial. Follow up like a boss with Follow Up Boss. Okay, Jen, let's talk about open houses. How important are they in 2022?
Open houses are back and they're in full force. Open houses are critical right now because, as you've mentioned a few times in this interview, the interest rates are rising, buyers are getting a little scared, things are slowing down a little bit, or neutralizing, I like to say. And so having an open house creates this it allows people to come and look at the house without feeling pressure to reach out to an agent and to engage in that sort of, relationship, but it's kind of like risk-free. They can go, they can look at the house, and I think that it's back, and I think that they're doing very well right now because of that, in my opinion. And
do you get a lot of unrepresented buyers coming?
yes. So open houses are great. Do open houses all day long, but most important is making sure you're tracking who's coming into your open house. Are you having them fill out a form that their name, their email address, their phone number? Are you following up with them? Follow Up Boss. Making sure that all those, that's so important. Yes, you have these phone numbers, you have these email addresses, but follow up and make sure that you reach out, and you, even if they weren't interested in the house, they'll remember you if you call and you follow up with them and you continue to nurture them.
So I want to drill down just a little bit. So when
Yeah.
do you tell your team? So someone comes in unrepresented to an open house. One of your
Mhm.
team members is doing an open house. They fill out the form, name, email, phone number. Okay, what's step number one after they leave, and how quickly? I would love to hear what you recommend.
After the open house, you send an email, individually personalized. Thank you, Jeff and Jody. Thank you so much for coming to my open house today. It was a pleasure to meet you, blah, 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 blah. If you're interested in this house, please let me know. Otherwise, I'd be happy to set up a search for you. And, so engage in conversation, and send that to each person that came into the open house. And then,
Now, and I'm sorry
Yep.
to get so
Yeah.
granular, but same
Yeah,
day
yeah.
or next day, or what do
Same
you recommend?
day.
Same day.
Okay. 100%. Yes. Same day. And then you give it 2 days, and then you follow up. Jeff and Jody, this is Jen Dillard. I reached out to you after my open house. I just wanted to follow up, make sure you got my email. If there's a phone number, you call, you got to go to all the areas of communication that you have access to. If they don't respond, maybe send a text. Some people, you just have to find their way of communicating. Some people prefer to communicate via text. Some could prefer to communicate, and you could even go a step further with your sheet. And you could say, what is your preferred method of communication? So,
Yeah,
then,
it's a really great idea, because to assume that everyone wants text or phone or email, of course, we're all different. And wow, that's really smart. So yeah, add that checkbox, everyone listening, to your open house sign-in sheet. Preferred way of communication. I do really appreciate that when I fill those forms out online, like for a doctor's office, or they oftentimes will ask that same question. So following up, I'm curious, do you have a general idea of and of course, every individual person is different, but the average time from the moment somebody walks into an open house, and obviously not everyone who walks out of the open house ends up becoming a client, but for those that do become a client, what's the lead time? Because we're talking about following up. How much time is typically required? And again, I know it could be 2 days, they could buy a home 2 days later, but what's the average time that you see? And this will just give our audience a sense of how long they should expect on average to stay in touch.
6 to 12 months.
Perfect.
6 to 12 months. And again, it can be like you said, they could be like, oh my gosh, I didn't like this house, but I just saw this house. This is the one. Can we go look at it? And boom. And that does happen. But I would plan for 6 to 12 months.
And do you have do you recommend people create a schedule so that for the next 6 or 12 months, they know for sure, here's, the general guidelines of how I'm going to stay in touch? Just curious if you use technology for that, or if you do it manually, what is sort of your thoughts on that?
We do. We have it. So we break it down and we use Monday.com. That's the software that we use, which big fan. And we break it down. And so there's steps for everything. Okay, you just engaged with a buyer. Here are the steps. Okay, you just engaged with the seller. Here are the steps. Okay, you've got a listing contract signed. Here are the steps. Same for buyers. And so we break it down and make it foolproof.
I love that. So systematize. We're talking about creating systems. And then all you have to actually do is run the system, right? You don't have to wake up and think, what am I doing today? What do I do? Yeah.
And how satisfying is it to check a box?
Oh,
love it. It's the best.
I love it as well. And it just makes it, you know what I've realized about life, and I'm curious to get your thoughts, because it took me I'm 46 now, which is depressing, but so I'm older than you, so I can say that. Jen is still super young. She's in her early 20s, we'll say.
Yeah. Thank you.
But for real, what I've realized is systematizing anything in life really reduces anxiety, and it reduces clutter in the mind. And it actually makes life easier. It's sort of the irony of it is creating a system actually gives you more freedom?
I feel like that was the biggest growing pains of the team growing at the pace that it did, and our transactions growing at the pace that they did, is the growing pains of the systems and processes, because we had to implement new systems and processes, and we had to do them quickly, and we had to hire, and so that, I feel like, was the biggest stressor, was getting those systems and processes in place. And now that they are, and we have the people to support, it's like, such a breath of fresh air.
And as a new agent, wouldn't you love to be plugged into a team that's kind of already got that all figured out, and you don't have to rebuild because there are so many ways to build those systems and so many different variables and software providers and just lots of different tools. Wouldn't you love just to plug into somebody's system? And you maybe make modifications if you need to, but like, that's another major reason to join a team, is it just helps, assuming the team has systems, it helps get your systems in order.
Yes, I completely agree.
And one last thing, if you were interviewing a team member, what do you look for in a team, in somebody that says, I want to join the Jen Dillard team? What are you looking for in that individual? Because I think this will help our audience when they go to, really they're interviewing sometimes for these positions. Yes. So what do you recommend?
I am looking for somebody who knows about the team. Show that you've done your research, and that who are we? Have you done your research? Have you looked us up online? Have you looked at our website? Are you familiar with us? And then next, I want you to show your personality. I want to see how you're going to interact with clients. Are you just sitting there waiting for me to ask questions and just answering them with boring answers? Probably not the right fit. Show your personality, show what's different about you. Why would somebody pick you to be the realtor? Show me that. I want to see that. So those are some of the things that I love to see. I love to see passion and drive, and somebody that's going to reach out to me, like I said, on different social media and different communication channels. Then I know that they're really interested, and they're really excited about the opportunity. I love those people.
Yeah, it really is like asking someone out on a date. Like you said, you have to put your best self forward. And that doesn't mean you have to look a certain way, but you have to make sure that they know who you are and what you're willing to bring to the table.
But do come dressed professionally, please. No sweats.
Yeah, boy, there is a huge variance in how realtors dress, right? We have 800 agents at our company here, and so we certainly see a wide range of choices in dress. And I always say there is no downside to dressing really well. There's actually very little chance of having a negative impact. However, on the other side, if you dress maybe a level lower than what the client expects, then that you're going to have a tougher hill to climb to win that person over.
Yes.
Yeah. So dress for success. It's not gone away, but I think the main message, Jen, that you've been describing is teams can be a real force for good, and they can actually provide more value to the client, also to the realtor. The realtor now has hopefully additional better resources, people to support them in the tough times, and just place to bounce ideas off of. And boy, I'll tell you, if I was a realtor starting out, and I was in the Bend, Oregon area, I guess, I'm sorry. Yeah. If I was living in between Portland and Bend, Oregon, and I was living there, in the Hood River district, I would be reaching out to Jen, because not only, and I think, Jen, you just said something really important. And if you go to Jen's website, which I'm going to encourage everybody to do in just a moment, you will get a sense of what her team is like just by watching some of the content that they've created there. You can see just in the still images of the fun that they have, and also tracking them on social, you get a good sense of what the team is like. Now, it's not everything. Of course, you want to meet them too, but I think that's such a really good idea, is getting a sense of the culture. And I think by that's what's really cool about social media, and also having a web presence, is you get a little glimpse into someone's culture. And I think this is a great opportunity for individual agents to explore other teams' cultures and see what feels like a good fit. And then, just like asking out someone on a date, you have to find your courage and then reach out and say, "Hey, I would like to talk to you about opportunities." I am such a big fan. And by the way, if there's any buyers, sellers, renters, investors in Jen's neck of the woods, boy, her and her team would love the opportunity to work with you directly. They're one of the very top teams in their area and very well respected. They're amazing. And Jen, do you mind just sharing what's the geographic boundaries of what your team sort of deals with?
Yeah, so we service pretty much everything from Portland all the way to Goldendale, Lisle area. So yeah, that's pretty much. What was that?
No, I was just saying, no, it's a huge area, but Jen, you also have a huge team. And I think it's a really great reminder that if you are thinking about joining a team or thinking about maybe changing teams, now's a good time when things are maybe a little bit more slow than they were a year ago, where we didn't have time to do that. But for anyone out there who is interested in working with Jen, or learning about her team and how it's structured, please visit their website, which is JDRE Team. Again, Jen Dillard Real Estate. So JDREteam.com. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. And also, please follow them on Instagram, which you can find them at JDRE Team and at Jen Dillard. We'll have links again in the show notes. Jen, thank you so much for being on our show. I appreciate you hanging with us through some of our tech difficulties today.
No problem.
Thankfully, we got through it without the power going out.
We got through it. Yeah. Thanks for having me so much, DJ. It was great.
We're super grateful. And for everyone, before you sign off, please, we only ask our listeners and viewers to do one thing, which is tell a friend. Think of one other realtor that could benefit from hearing this conversation with Jen, and send them a link to this episode. You can find us on our website, keepingitrealpod.com. Every episode we've ever done is there. And we have about 400 episodes there now. So Jen, thank you so much. We are huge fans of you and your team and your company, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for taking time to be on our show.
Thank you.